What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the show. We are your hosts, Chase and Myles, and we are at the Lucky Duck. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for joining us for some great conversation and some even better cocktails. Myles, who do we have on today?
Guys, it's been so long since we've had a guest that I'm pretty sure I forgot how to do intros, but I'm going to give it a shot.
He's going to give it a shot.
Ever seen the hit show Cops? Well, today's guest practically invented the show. In fact, I'm pretty sure he actually told me that once. I didn't claim that, but I'm just saying. Anyway, we've known him for a pretty long time at this point. We knew him back in our college days. He's actually Chase's father-in-law, which I think makes him my father-in-law too, but I'm still Googling that to see if that's how that works. Not sure. But anyway, he spent a long time in law enforcement in Florida, and he's recently decided to look in other places and move out to the place he's enjoyed for visiting for a long time, Colorado. Give it up for Tolo.
Welcome,
What's
Tolo.
going on? Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nice intro. I like that.
Oh, thanks.
Myles has the best intros.
Yeah. And I actually do consider you my son-in-law too. So
Aw,
let's just
thanks.
get that.
Aww.
So
That's
nice
way
of
too
you.
chummy to start the episode,
Yeah,
guys.
right?
Calm down.
Hey, let's say something mean.
Let's give it. Yeah. Now follow up with something demeaning. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Boom.
Cheers.
Clanky,
Thanks for having
clanky.
me.
Yeah. Sippy. Yum. So, Myles, what are we drinking today?
Gimlets,
Yes, sir.
which is gin with lime.
Yes, actually,
much, right?
Love it.
we have it's a slight alteration to the gimlet. It's actually called a French gimlet, and what that means, your traditional gimlet is with gin, simple syrup, and lime. It's basically a margarita with gin, and this alteration, you sub the simple syrup for Saint Germain.
Ooh.
Which is a Frenchy type
Elderflower?
herbal, yeah,
I think. It's
liqueur, and so it gives it a that kind of
Well, it goes
herbal
on very
taste.
smooth.
It does, yes, garnished with the lime.
good. It's a good one.
Yeah, check it out. We'll have it posted on Instagram. So if you guys want to pause, take a moment, make your own, come back. We'll be here waiting.
It's about to get good.
It's about to get sloppy. Thanks, Tolo. Welcome.
Oh, thank
Welcome.
you. Appreciate it. Good stuff.
We've always wanted to have you on the podcast. In fact, you've visited us many times, and I didn't realize this time you had never even seen the bar or the basement of which I built it in. So it was really cool to have you come and visit and be able to see and experience this with us. So thank you.
No, thank you. And when I first came here, it was all, like I said, I remember plywood and insulation. That's
Yeah.
all I saw, and to come in to see the finished product, I feel like I'm on one of these HGTV shows. It's like,
Yeah.
welcome to the new home, and
Yeah.
bam, here it is, and it was just blew me away. So,
Well, I'm glad I could hide the bodies in the walls before you showed up. So
it's covering the smell, whatever you're doing. So we're good.
It's just
Yes.
a facade. You could push this wall right here and everything will fall.
Oh yeah,
the key is asbestos. It
yeah. There you
really
go.
soaks in the dead
Yep.
body
Yep.
smell. Yeah, Google it. Don't Google it. So you're moving out here inevitably at
Yes.
this point.
Yeah.
So you're looking at homes. You're interviewing with different law enforcement departments. How's that gone so far?
You know what? It's going really well. I'm actually getting to be introduced to a different type of law enforcement, I guess you could say, because for 30-something years, I've been doing Florida law enforcement. Now
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in another state, dealing with different weather, dealing with different laws and the different cultures, and getting to last 2 days, getting to meet some of the officers out here and how they work has actually been very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know already and being able to come out here, I'm hoping to make some type of an impact over here and, whatever community that I might end up working for. And look forward to it. I think it's gonna be a challenge, but it's also an adventure at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And what is the biggest difference you've noticed? So, I mean, you've just been scratching the surface and talking to some folks that already are established here. But right off the bat, what is like the biggest difference you've noticed?
Right off the bat, there. Some people might not like me for saying this, but it's the pay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they pay a lot better here than they do in Florida. That's for sure. So
yeah, I could have guessed that. Yeah,
But,
Denver
yeah.
is definitely a higher cost of living. So and then the state income tax. So they've got to like supplement it somehow.
Yeah.
But I'm sure even with those factors, and they probably pay even a little bit higher.
yeah,
Once
yeah.
all things considered.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, there's every law enforcement agency is different when it comes down to resources and technology, and again, that's something I'm getting more exposure to, and especially in the last 2 days of actually seeing what these other departments, what their entities are, and their technology, and it's a lot different than what we have in Florida. That's for sure. So.
Nice.
Again, it's just something new it opens my eyes a little bit and whatever. So it's
I would imagine, I don't know how Southwest Florida has really changed since we've been there, so this could be a problem there too. But Colorado and a lot of the states in the West, like California, have a massive homeless problem.
Yeah.
Like huge. So I would imagine that's going to be a new thing for you to experience.
Well, it's funny you say that. I actually got asked today when I was at one of the police departments how we deal with it in Florida, and how is the homeless problem in Florida. And unfortunately, homelessness is everywhere. And every city, every town, county, whatever it is, try their best to try and help those homeless get through in life and whatnot. And so it's like I was able to compare some of the comparisons of what they have going on here in Boulder or in Broomfield or wherever else it was, as what we do in Florida. So we do sometimes we do coffee in the morning, and again, we got to remember Florida's also have a big migrant community as well. So I remember that there's sometimes in the mornings there was some of our community oriented police deputies would go out and do coffee in the morning, and hand out blankets on cold mornings or cold evenings and stuff like that, and that they somewhat do the same thing here. So, but I have noticed that in Florida there seems to be some type of, not control, but they have a lid on the homeless problem there with enough shelters and everything like that. But coming out here, I can even say, hopefully nobody from Seattle is listening here, but Seattle is probably one of the worst examples of homelessness that I have seen probably in my lifetime. And I think that hopefully that city can get on board and with some of these other cities that are able to control that issue and help those people, in what they need. So, but it's something that's going to have to be dealt with, and all you can do is just try to help these people as much as possible, and sometimes I've learned this in my years. It's a lifestyle, and some people enjoy being there. I remember we helped one guy once. We got him to a shelter one night, and a few days later, I found him back in the same spot, and he goes, "This is my home. This is where I like." And he actually had a very nice setup in the woods, but it can only last for so long, buddy.
Yeah.
So that's where he wanted to be, and
Yeah.
So
yeah, in many ways, it's weird because as a city becomes bigger and more populous and higher income like Denver has over the years, you start to see you would think that would equitably move everybody up,
right.
But unfortunately, what it does is it creates a bigger divide. And so, you see other things like Denver having a lower labor problem. Lower income labor pools have moved out because they couldn't afford to live in Denver. The more populous it becomes, the less available resources for those types of people become available. We've seen a couple of instances where people will actually move to Denver just because they've heard that it is a more friendly to homeless. But when they get here, they realize, oh, that was just a fucking lie. Yeah. It's just like everywhere else. In fact, you can't get services. It's really hard to get services because so many other people are trying to get them.
Right.
So it's like, get in line, guy.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's just a consequence of I
Right.
guess the progression that Denver has had, and a lot of these cities, like when Amazon became what it is in Silicon Valley and Seattle, Seattle became a booming tech industry,
Yeah.
which higher cost of living, higher incomes moving into the neighborhood, so that the divide you started to see was very noticeable. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I went to Seattle over the summer last year, and it was shocking. Miles and I went to LA this past Memorial Day weekend, and we drove past. We had to drive past Skid Row,
Yep.
and it was just terribly.
It's like a tent city, right?
Sad.
Yeah,
It's just
it is. It is very
so
sad.
sad.
Yeah.
And don't get us started on Portland.
Yeah.
That
Portland,
place is
Jesus
bad.
Christ.
Really bad.
Call the National Guard. But I mean, it's definitely. I've noticed gotten a little bit better over the years, and in the last couple years, at least in Denver. Some would argue that a lot of natives would be like, no, it's as worse as it's ever been.
Yeah.
But that's also in the winter months you see less of a homeless in tents
Yeah.
and things, just because the weather's just unbearable. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you gonna live out?
I don't
in
know
this
how
weather?
you can be homeless in this weather sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially we had, everywhere.
Yeah.
A couple weeks back, it was freezing cold throughout pretty much the whole U.S. And
Right.
here you had negative temp.
Yeah.
You had the wind chill temperatures were deadly,
Yeah.
and you couldn't be outside. You'd probably die if you were outside for
Right.
more than a half hour.
Yeah.
I walked outside and it hurt to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was negative 18.
I believe it.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah. Going
I
back
mean,
in.
granted, that was the
Yeah.
coldest I'd ever experienced here.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't ever get down. In fact, that was a historic, like a 40 or 50 year historic low.
Yeah.
For the state of Colorado. So it's very rare.
It's like that meme, with that dog looking out the window and it sees all the snow. So yeah, I'm pooping in the house today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, speaking of this problem, recently I've seen in the news, because you're saying it's feeling like it's getting better, and maybe it seems like it's getting better, but we've actually had a lot of migrants show up lately.
Yeah.
A lot of places have, right?
I've seen that on the news. Yeah.
Yeah. But Sarah was actually working she volunteers, I think once a month or once every couple of weeks at an eye clinic downtown for homeless people.
Okay.
And they had this guy come in who was asking them for help. He say, I'm from Venezuela. I came on a bus. I need help.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, of course, we'll help you. We'll find somewhere for you to sleep tonight. And he said, actually, it's not just me. And there was a whole busload of migrants from Venezuela
Really?
with him. Yeah. And it's actually made the news, and there's been even more people coming.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to reach out to other states to provide basic pathways for these migrants. Which, I mean, Venezuela, we did a whole podcast episode, I think it was number 3 on Venezuela. I don't know if you know much about it, but it is just terrible there. What has
Really?
happened? You can't get food. The monetary system has collapsed. So all the money, all the paper money that people had been using, completely worthless. You'll see garbage bags of money basically on the streets because
it's no good.
It's no good.
Oh, wow.
So Paula, one of our friends came on, and she's from there. Her family's she still has family back there, so they send them money and food, and it's just a terrible situation. So if I were them, I'd be wanting to get the fuck out.
Yes.
I don't blame them.
That's the thing is, a lot of them will come here, and then it's not. They don't come here and have a good life. I mean, some people will, but probably the majority of people, they're going to struggle for a long time. They're going to struggle to get services, especially with an influx of people. And a lot of people would say, why come here if you're just going to be homeless, right?
Yeah.
Is it really that much better? And somebody actually asked some of the people, and they said, yes, people are, like, is it you and your kids die or you live? That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
So-
I understand it.
Providing, hopefully we can figure it out and have.
I hope so.
Have like real viable means of actually getting somewhere to live, and just providing a pathway. Like,
Right.
here's step 1.
Yep.
Here's step 2. Here, here you go. And instead of like figure it out.
And at the same time, also give them a pathway to citizenship.
Yeah.
If that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, I think our government can do a lot more when it comes to that. But they need to help these communities, whether it be Denver or wherever else that these migrants being bused to. You know, they need to help them as well. You know, so it's.
And look,
they're here, so let's help them.
And we need them. I mean, America was built on people who are able to or willing to do the jobs that not say normal, but like your average person doesn't want to do.
Right.
You know, and it's like the construction jobs. It's the lower salaried jobs, and through that you can work your way up in the system. I mean, it's like the American dream model, I guess, that seems to be slightly broken at the moment, but we can get there. We can get there. So you're the second cop that we've had on. Okay. Well, the first one was retired as my dad, and we didn't really get into anything law enforcement related.
Just talking about being in a cult. That's it.
That was it.
I listened to that one. Yeah. Very.
I think it was episode 13. It's one of our highest listened to viewed episodes. So if you guys are listening and haven't checked it out, episode 13, it's a hoot.
Yeah. Take it from me, too.
So how long have you been a cop?
It will be 30 years this May coming up.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time.
So what is that? What was the year you started?
1993.
Wow.
May of 1993.
Wow.
Yep. I was out of high school for about a year. I did some college, and I was so passionate about getting into law enforcement. I kind of I kind of put college aside, which is a huge regret. So anybody who is out there that does not have a degree, please focus on that degree. Take it from me.
Well, you need a degree right now to become a police officer, right?
A lot of places do require degrees, and especially if you want a promotion within, they require at least a 4-year degree.
Right.
So it's been I would say it's actually for somebody who does not have a degree, and I still do not, and I'll be honest and tell everybody I don't have a degree. It's almost a struggle if you want to get promoted from wherever you might the highest level that you can achieve without a degree. So definitely I would recommend it, and we talked about this I think the other day about just how if you're in school, stay in school. Get it done. Yeah. Get it out of the way.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, get it out of the way. Life will be so much easier for you down the road. So, but so it's I definitely.
What drove this passion to become involved in law enforcement?
So I was born little history on me. So I was born and raised in London, England. Spent 12 years of my life there as a child, and was living on the very outskirts of London, in the very southeastern, a small little town called Welling, very small town. It was a small little train ride would take you right into the center of London. So we did that quite frequently, my mother and I. And with that being said, I got to see a lot of law enforcement activity. It was back in the 80s, so we got to see, there's a lot of issues with the IRA going on and terrorism going on and whatnot. So you got to see a lot of law enforcement presence. And I kind of started looking up to the law enforcement, Scotland Yard, and hearing about them on the news, and hearing about certain things going on around London and around England. And it just started piquing my interest as a child. It was like, law enforcement, that sounds cool. Seeing the English bobbies around and seeing them standing guard in front of Buckingham Palace and stuff. It was really cool to see. So I kind of started getting that feel. It was like, that would be something I could, look at as I get older in life, and maybe it might be a career that I might go to if it wouldn't be military or whatever. So that's really where my passion for law enforcement started as a child in England. Wow. And I think to this day, if I lived in England, I think I would have probably ended up being a cop in England as well. Right. So that's how much passion I have for it and whatnot. So
wow,
yeah, it's pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow, I mean, like 30. I'm a 92 kid, so I was like 1 year old when you joined. That's crazy to think about.
I remember this day signing my paperwork and everything, and I actually signed it I was signing it was a civilian position within the jail I was signing for. And then next to me across the table was another officer who was signing on to be a patrol officer, and he just retired last month.
Wow.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Wow. He's like, hey, you're up next,
yeah,
buddy.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, he's gone. I might not be far behind. So
Now remind me, you're eligible as a police officer to retire in, is it 20 years of service? Or how many years
you know what?
typically?
I think it's 25.
25,
now.
okay.
Well, I take that back. I think after there was a new law signed into effect, I think in 2011, anybody hired after 2011, I could be wrong on this, it was 30 years now.
Okay.
So I was grandfathered in, obviously.
Yeah.
So 25 years in, you're eligible to retire. It's
Pretty nice. When the rest of us schmucks are retiring at like 65.
Yeah.
Yes. So what does that mean though? So to be eligible to retire means you're eligible for what? Benefits after you retire, or what is it?
Our retirement system in Florida allows us to have either like a pension plan or an investment plan, and I opted for the investment plan. So that pretty much it's almost a gamble, to be honest with you. It's a risky one. It can be, but it works with the stock market and whatnot. And but you have an opportunity to also gain a lot more money by doing that, other than sticking to a pension plan. Where the pension plan, you're actually safe, and after 25 years, you're going to get a certain amount every year or every month, whatever you choose. So it gives you those options. But my benefit would be that I can retire from Florida, and I can take my retirement. I can move over here to Colorado, and I can start another retirement over here. So
you can start withdrawing.
So
from
I can withdraw from Florida, and I can also come over here. Like I said, I'm not ready to fully retire. That's no, not there yet.
The old badge.
No.
Huh.
What did Rocky say? Is got a little something in the basement?
Yeah, exactly. True. Speaking of movies, in your opinion, what cop movie do you think best describes being a cop, like in its actuality?
Ooh, well, I'm actually gonna back it down a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a TV show.
Oh, even better.
Right? Southland.
Yes. Okay.
If you ever watched it.
Now, what's the premise of that show?
It shows you a rookie cop he's training with a veteran seasoned cop who really just doesn't give a damn. I don't know if, actually you cussed already, so I can cuss, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't give a fuck, to be honest with you. But at the same time, he does the job.
Okay.
And he shows his rookie how it is and everything like that. It lasted for several seasons. I thought it was a fantastic show, and it actually showed pretty much, it gave more of an insight into more a realistic insight into law enforcement from a law enforcement perspective.
Gotcha.
It has the guy who played Abraham on Walking Dead. That was Michael Curtis.
Okay.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. And so this is probably on Peacock now because it's an
Probably,
NBC
yeah, it
show.
was on NBC. I think it got canceled. TNT picked it up.
Five seasons.
Yeah.
Huh.
Fantastic show.
Okay.
But
What about The Wire? Everybody talks about
The Wire? You know what? I have not watched The Wire.
You haven't?
No, I have not.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
watched The Sopranos, but I have not watched The Wire.
Yes. Top two shows of all time, according to many lists.
Yeah.
The Sopranos and The Wire, both HBO shows. Super great.
Yeah.
It's that's more of like Baltimore area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They go into like some of the drug and gang. It's like it's a duality of perspectives. So they have like the law enforcement perspective, and then they shift over to the gang perspective.
Okay.
So they show it from both perspectives.
Yeah.
So it's really neat in the way that it's shot.
To this day, I keep telling myself I gotta watch it, but I just
Yeah.
have an opportunity. But
It's great. It's a little
Okay.
slow, but
Yeah.
picks
It's
up.
not on TV. It's not. They don't have new seasons, right?
No.
Yeah.
This was I think 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, it's been off air for a while.
Yeah, I remember it when it was still on. People said it was like one of the best shows of all time.
People will just like stand and die by that statement.
Yeah. All right. But I can
Yeah.
still give you a movie though. But I mean, it's Hollywood, so it's always
everything's
how
always glorified.
But I would say End of Watch was probably A very good, very good movie. Too.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Michael Pereira.
Again, it was very Hollywood, and
Yeah.
but it kind of gives you. I mean,
That
there was
one's
some
in L.A., right?
Yeah, some scenes in there that just would not happen this day.
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's 20 years ago or today, it just would not happen. But again, but another movie I'll give you is Heat as well. It's a classic from 1997 or 1998 with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino.
Is that a Michael Scorsese film?
As a
Martin Scorsese, sorry.
Michael Bay, I think it
Michael
was.
Bay, okay.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Again, another Hollywood movie. So
Interesting.
but it focuses more on the bank robberies aspects and whatever. But I thought that was a phenomenal movie because it shows you both perspectives.
There's always the line, and it's mostly in comedy, I think, but it's like when they're trying to buy drugs from somebody and they think they're an undercover cop, and they go, "Are you a cop? You got to tell me if you're a cop." Is that a real thing? Do undercover cops have to answer the question?
No, they do not. No, I can tell you right now, they do not have to answer that.
Damn. No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked undercover?
I have not done. I've been asked to do it, and
Yeah.
I actually backed out of it because I said I would start laughing in the middle of it. So it would definitely be an officer safety issue.
Just blow your cover immediately.
No, I have assisted on undercover operations, but no, it's just something I just don't see myself doing.
Yeah. Miles, do you think you'd be a good undercover cop?
No, I'd definitely crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd just tell I'd stutter, and they'd be like, okay, this guy's a narc.
Kill him. That's hilarious. So you worked for 30 years in law enforcement.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference from when you first started to now?
I think now the public want more insight as opposed to 20, 30 years ago. You were a cop and you were there, and when you showed up, it was like, oh, the cops are here, whatever. Now the public want more information. They want to be part of the investigation. They want, that's where the cell phone cameras start getting whipped out and everything like that. They want to be part of what is going on, and that's the biggest difference. And that's actually one of the biggest changes that from a seasoned guy like myself to a newer guys, they come in and they already know how to handle it. But seasoned guys like myself, is like, you have to accept that and adapt to that. And that's seems to be the hardest thing that I've noticed that older and more seasoned veteran officers have to deal with and have to understand more. It's actually harder for us to adapt to that than what it is for a new guy to come in. So
that makes sense. I think I don't know, because I haven't been a cop for 30 years, but I would imagine that for the first 25 years, you kind of slowly adapted to changes, and then in the last 5 years, it's been pretty dramatic.
It's skyrocketed.
Change.
Yeah, dramatic, like you said. Yeah, absolutely.
How long ago were you guys required to start wearing body cams?
We just started. My agency started 1 year ago.
1 year ago?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. But that was already in the works before everything happened in 2020. So, it was just a matter of time that we were going to get them. One of the agencies I went to today, actually has already had body cameras for, I think they said 5 years.
Yeah.
So it all varies in departments and whatnot. So,
yeah. So describe that a little bit. I mean, 2020 was obviously like a big shift in public trust for law enforcement. Obviously we had, George Floyd incident, Black Lives Matter movement. What was describe the change in the atmosphere in your department going through all that?
I can tell you right now, and I think this is from my personal opinion, but I think our area and our department was actually blindsided by everything. In the reaction to the George Floyd incident. And I can't say that it was like a tinderbox or anything like that, but you could tell that just kicked off a lot of not uprising, but a lot of debate and a lot of uncertainty in the trust of law enforcement. So I remember that right after it, we had a protest. Well, we had a gathering that was scheduled, and it turned into a protest, and it turned into a march, and it almost turned into not. I wouldn't say it didn't turn into a riot, but it was like you could see that tension was there, and as an agency looking back, here we are with 2 years from it. It's something we've had to adapt to and something we've had to adjust to. And I think there's a lot of other agencies out there that also saw the same thing. And it's just, it was an eye opener, Yeah, the George Floyd incident should not have happened, without a doubt. Yeah, that guy should be in jail. That's my personal opinion. That should not have happened at all. None of us are trained to do what he did, and he just decided to do that. That's on him. Obviously, that incident alone was enough. It just kicked off a lot of uncertainty in law enforcement. In conjunction with some other incidents, and like I said, the public want to get more. They want to be more involved, and they see an incident that possibly could be the same type of scenario as George Floyd, and it just keeps on rising, and it keeps the flames going to that fire. And that's where our agencies and a lot of law enforcement agencies need to start being more transparent. But at the same time, I think our communities need to understand the type of training that law enforcement also get. Tunnel vision. A lot of people don't know what tunnel vision is. I mean, in certain scenarios, adrenaline rush. I mean, that happens, and I get it. It's very hard to control sometimes. What you might be going through at that moment and that instinct. And as a member of the public, you've probably never been put into a situation where you have to make a split-second decision that could save or take a life. So I think there needs to be also some type of understanding on the public side as to how law enforcement works. But at the same time, law enforcement also needs to be very transparent and allow the public to come in and see how it is.
And educate them, show them.
And I've seen that already with citizen academies and bringing people in. Hey, we'll show you how we operate. We show you how we train. And I think that's important. And I think that just the public need to understand that, though, at the same time, as not just going and doing it, but understanding it.
Yeah.
So,
and they canceled Live PD, I think, right?
Yeah.
Cops, they canceled. I think they're bringing it back, though.
Cops is already back.
It's back.
Yeah, it's on Fox Nation, I think it is.
Something like that,
Yeah.
One of the interesting things they could do through that show is do what you're saying.
You're right.
Because almost all that show is just like ride along, right?
Right.
It's like ride along
footage. It's the action. Let's show you the 10 minutes of action that they got into at that moment. Yeah.
So maybe every other episode there, or maybe there's like a segment every episode where they talk about the behind the scenes of like what it takes to become a cop.
Yeah. You're right.
And that could also just regain some of the public trust, but and also just maybe from a recruiting standpoint, get more people interested in law enforcement.
No, 100%. Yeah.
So did you? I mean, I know you're not a part of like the recruiting side of your department, but did you notice less interest in like positions being filled?
Yeah, absolutely.
Applicants during that time.
Not only did I see less interest, I also saw a lot of guys actually just retiring or resigning from their positions. So it actually made I can speak for our agency, it actually made our agency very short staffed to where we had to make adjustments so we could have the appropriate staff day in and day out. But 2020 was a very, very big year in law enforcement to adapt and to change.
Did you question whether or not you wanted to still be a part of that?
I did. I'll be honest with you. I did. And it was more like, is this that turning point to where law enforcement is going to be different? I mean, but at the same time, I also thought, no, guys like, and I don't want to pat myself on the back, but guys like myself and some other veteran guys need to stay on so we can teach the younger guys, hey, it's okay to do it this way. It's okay to do this and whatnot. You don't have to do it a certain way. We have our policies and we have our procedures, but there's other ways that you can also, satisfy the public, and whatnot. So,
well, I applaud you for doing that because I think there's a bit of me that's judgmental on people who just want to throw their hands up and quit when things start to get a little more difficult or things change, because ultimately, I think you signed up for all the right reasons, right? Which is like to help the public and defend the law and do that. And if people just give up, how are we going to be a force of good change and move forward? It's like, I'm leaving, because things are just terrible here. Like, like a lot of people left California because it's, all the things happening. It's like, well, there should be some people that want to stay to help make it better. If everybody just leaves, you're just, you're going to leave them all helpless, and nobody's going to be around to be the force of change that needs to happen, that's required to make everybody's lives better. So thanks for sticking it out. I appreciate it. No, I can imagine being 28 years in at that moment, being used to the way things are and not wanting to have to change anything. And I think it takes a real big person to rise to the occasion.
I appreciate that.
And deal with it, take it on the chin, whatever that means,
Yeah.
So
I got you.
What did you think? Did you think this boiling tension was inevitable at some point? And it's almost like a bubble waiting to burst. And this was like the straw that broke the camel's back type of incident.
I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that, because if you go back to the Los Angeles riots, I mean, with the acquittal of the 4 officers, which to this day still blew my mind as well.
Yeah. Well, that and the whole OJ thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah. So it's like before that, when were the latest riots about injustice and everything? It was what, 1960s, the Watts riots and stuff like that. I'm just using LA as an example,
right?
So it's like, I don't know. I think it took this one incident, with George Floyd, to where it was maybe it was just that fuel to the fire that just kicked off everything, or maybe it was just I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah. Well, you had earlier stated that it came as kind of a shock to your department. I mean, I think it's like department to department. I think we're doing a disservice by generalizing that, and this is a part of the issue, I think, with the criticism to law enforcement, is like, just because that one incident happened, and as bad as it was, it is, and that guy belongs in jail, but you can't just generalize and make a blanket statement that all law enforcement acts this way.
Exactly.
So it's a case by case basis, and they're just like any industry. There's a lot of good guys and there's some bad actors.
Absolutely.
And so I'm somewhat familiar with your department, your agency, and I've never heard of any, strong incident or criticism to that. And so I can imagine, like, you're on that perspective of like, holy shit, like, I thought we were doing a great job here.
Right.
Why is everybody so critical all of a sudden?
Right.
And
I'll tell you right now, when I was assigned to assist with our crowd control at that time, about that protest I mentioned, that actually crossed my mind. It's like, I thought we were doing fine down here, but it seems like
we're the good guys.
It was like law enforcement in general. It was like, I don't. War is a very bad word to use, but it's like there was a war all of a sudden on law enforcement and cops, and it was like, what did we do? One guy up there made a bad decision and decided to take a life, or whatever happened with that is like that's on them, but that doesn't represent all the other guys who were standing right next to me, or all the other women who were standing right behind me or next to me. It's just, it didn't make any sense at all, and But I understand where the public in general, not just in our community, but in general, wanted answers and whatever. And that was obviously a clear cut case of where they wanted the answers. And the media, obviously, they have their part of it as well.
They did a fantastic job of riling everybody up as they always do.
Oh yeah. So it didn't help the cause, but it's we would get as a law enforcement member. I know that our any agency, my agency for a fact, when we are able to give you that information, we will give you that information. We just can't do it right at that moment that you want it, because there is an investigation that needs to be done, for the benefit of the family that might be involved or the officer that might be involved. So I think people forget that.
Yeah.
And, and it goes with any other serious incident that might occur, whether it be a homicide investigation, whatever. Everybody wants answers, but everybody will get answers. I'll use the recent Idaho, the unfortunate murders that happened. I thought that was, and it's very preliminary. I haven't looked at the cases or anything, but from what I've seen on the media, I thought it was handled very professionally. And a lot of people wanted answers, and a lot of people criticized the agency for not giving those answers. They have an investigation that they need to do for the families of the victims, and as well as locating that suspect. And it sounded like they had tabs on that suspect, and they knew exactly who they were going for. And I thought that was a phenomenal job. There was no leaks, there was no information given out, and they did their job. And
that's like one of the things that like everybody has to realize is if you don't want to show your cards like too early, because like there's a guy, he's lawyering up.
Yeah,
and that lawyer is looking at everything. You know, like this is a game of poker in the justice system, unfortunately. That's well, now that we've gotten the tough conversation out of the way, do cops like donuts?
Lay it on me.
Do cops actually like donuts?
Before we came on here, give me a glazed donut all day long.
Yeah, I heard him say that. We were talking earlier, and he said something. Oh, I went to Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, I was like, of course you did.
Of course I did. Damn right I do.
That's so funny. You ever watch Fluffy, the Gabriel Iglesias comedy?
No,
he has a great bit on cops and donuts. I don't want to butcher it, so I won't get it. But sometimes I'll see like TikTok videos, and it's like these lawyers, and they'll like often give like little tidbits of advice, and one of the things I always hear from them is like, if you get pulled over or in trouble with the cops, the first thing you should do is shut the fuck up. So from your perspective, do you think people should shut the fuck up?
To a point. I mean, if don't shut the fuck up to where if I'm asking you a question, don't give me silence. I mean, help me out here, But just understand. I think people need to understand that we're asking certain questions because we need to ask these questions, or whether it be a traffic stop. Hey, why are we going so fast? If you're going to the hospital, personally, go. I completely understand. There's other cops out there that would be more like, well, you shouldn't be going that fast because I don't go that fast. Whatever. Hey, we're all human. If we know that hospital is going to, get us better or get, that's where we need to get to, then go for it. But when it comes to your question, everybody, I respect everybody's rights. I'll even go the extra mile and tell her, hey, you don't have to tell me that, you don't have to give me this information if you don't want to, but it's completely up to the scenario, I guess you could say, whatever it might be. Traffic stop, it's common. You'll be surprised how many people say, hey, I am so sorry. Every time I walk up to a car, hey, I got you doing, I got you rolling the stop sign, or I got you speeding, 20 over and whatever. It's like, I'm so sorry. And there might be a reason for it, Yeah. Personally, again, maybe it's because I'm seasoned, I speed. I'm going to be straight up honest on this podcast and say I speed all the time.
Mile speeds,
so
hard.
All speed.
I never had a ticket though.
I can probably change that.
Yeah. Watch it, because he's watching you.
I know. All right. I had to sneak out the back after this.
That's interesting. Is there a certain requirement from like the public to answer? Like, there's probably certain questions that during a traffic stop, they had to produce like what? Driver's license,
so normally we
insurance,
ask for
and
license, registration for the vehicle, and any insurance information. Those are required.
Yeah.
You know, you got to give that up.
Yeah,
you know, because otherwise you could be facing in Florida, you could be facing an obstruction charge. You know, it's just one of those things. You got to do it.
Could somebody just like not say anything and give it to you?
No, absolutely. I've had that happen before. Not say a word and just hand me all the required information. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I respect that. If you don't want to talk to me, okay, that's fine. But I'll at least let you know why I'm stopping you and what the process is going to go is going to go from here. So, you know, but that's fine. You know?
Well, what about I know, or at least I've seen on TV, I've heard, for instance, if an officer wants to give a breathalyzer test or something like that, someone can refuse to do it.
Yes.
But you can then bring them to jail or something. Right?
Yeah.
Or
so in Florida, it's a little different. I mean, some states allow an officer to actually do a roadside sobriety, and I really can't speak much for that because I don't know the entities of that law. But in Florida, if we suspect somebody of DUI, you know, there's certain things that we have to take into consideration: their driving habits, you know, their body, their physical abilities. We might ask them to do a field sobriety test, which you can refuse. But if you still refuse, we can still make the arrest based on what we also already have observed. Yeah. And then once we do make that arrest, then we can give you an option to do a breathalyzer, where we would transport you to a specific facility that has an actual certified breathalyzer that is that can be shown in court and whatnot. Again, you still can refuse to do that, but it is also another criminal charge. So yeah, DUI is a big thing. That's for sure. So
don't drink and drive, folks. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
No,
not worth it. When I first started my job, actually a couple years into my job, this is the first time I ever experienced this, but there was a fellow, I won't name any names, but and he doesn't work for us anymore. So maybe I could. No, I won't. He had like a couple DUIs.
Oh,
and he was at the point where he could drive now, but he had to blow into the tube and all that.
Yeah.
So I remember him. It was blizzarding out. It was like 2 feet of snow had already fallen. I was at work, and 2 feet of snow had already fallen. It was insane. The most snow I've ever seen in my life. And at the time, I was still driving my Dodge Avenger. Which is like
I remember that car. Yep.
Front-wheel drive, four-door sedan.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way I was getting out of there.
Yeah.
So he's like, you want me to give you a ride? Because he lived in my apartment complex. Sure. He had, I think he had like a Bronco or something, like an old, or maybe it was a Suburban or something. It was decked out. It was lifted and all that. So I get in his car. I was like, oh. And we ripped ass through the snow, got home, no problem. But I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, I've heard about these things. I've never actually seen them in action. Folks, you don't want to be blowing through a tube to start your car.
No, and I think in Florida, actually, it's like every 10 minutes, it makes you blow again.
Really?
So you could be at a red light, and you have to blow again into the mechanism. So, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not drinking and driving.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you say Bronco because I just saw this video the other day that apparently, I think it was the Bronco, the latest model that they're coming out with for next year or whatever, has DUI detection.
What?
In the car.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it's not like you've had a DUI and you have to have this in here. It's like in the car, and somehow it can tell if you're under the influence, and it won't let you drive it.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I drive under the influence, but
what if your passengers are drinking? You know, like, come on.
Being too loud. It'd be funny if I'm like totally sober and it's like, you are drunk.
Yeah.
Shit. Why are you being so judgy?
Yeah. Like, Miles, get out.
Sorry, guys.
That's hilarious. My Tesla has a camera that faces you.
Okay.
And I always wonder, like, is it like doing something under the radar to like, because like if you engage autopilot, you have to tug on it measures the force on the wheel,
right,
to make sure that you still have your hands on the wheel, because that's a requirement in order to use it. And so I've noticed that if like I have autopilot engaged and I'll still even have my hands and my one hand on the wheel, and that's sufficient. It doesn't need two. It measures the kind of like the toggle of it. In fact, it'll be like if it doesn't sense it, it'll be like toggle the wheel, and you kind of have to like move it up and down a little bit, and it goes away, the notification. I noticed normally it will only ask you that, I don't know, maybe like a minute in if you don't have your hands on the wheel. But if I had my hand on the wheel and I had my phone out for some reason, I don't do this often, but maybe I'll check my phone real quick. It will ask me to toggle the wheel a little quicker. So I'm like, are you watching me?
Yeah.
Are you watching me?
Yeah,
And you see that app
Elon,
on my phone
are
now?
you watching?
Yeah, Elon. Cool it, buddy.
He has a TV in his house. He's just constantly flipping.
He's got a little red button.
Yeah.
It's like, that's interesting. No.
The weird things they're putting in cars, right?
The weird
I know,
things
right?
they're putting in cars.
Now they're just controlling your entire car.
Yeah.
You have a subscription for everything.
Subscription, yeah, that's the thing. Tesla does that, but it's for wireless over the air stuff. So if you want,
every car,
which
company does.
I think that's a normal thing. But BMW now, I think in their latest new higher end models, if you want heated seats to be turned it's built into the standard model, the heated seats.
Right.
But if you want to be able to use that feature, you have to pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, wow.
That.
Yeah. No.
That's all I have to say about that.
No.
No, I'm
Give
not
me a
doing
heated
that.
seat and I'll be happy. But yeah,
I want to buy the car and everything that's already in it.
Yeah.
Let me use right out of the box, and
Yeah.
I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay extra for it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's weird.
so Florida, drug law is a little different.
Oh yeah.
So 30
Oh
years.
yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. You're moving out to a state
Yep.
where not only is marijuana recreationally legal and you can buy it, but it's often celebrated as in a cultural sense.
Yeah.
How is that? What's that like? Like going from basically, not putting away people for having it, but you've been busting people for marijuana for almost your entire career.
Yep.
What? How do you think that's gonna feel like going to a state?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, Florida's starting to take the steps to, I think, that Colorado has been taken.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already medicinal marijuana and whatnot. So, kind of got those laws and pretty much down pat.
Yeah.
But when it's a matter. I tell people when I come across people who have marijuana, and again, I'm very personally, it's more like, hey, listen, it's a matter of time before it all becomes legal. But in the meantime, we got certain laws we got to abide by.
I'm just doing my job.
Yeah,
that's I'm just doing my job.
So if you really need it that bad, there's avenues for you to go and take and get that license. And I respect that all day long, as well any other law enforcement officer. It's when you abuse that opportunity. I think that's just like, come on, we're giving you the avenue to take. If you really want to have marijuana medicinally wise, for whatever purpose you might need it for, smoke it in your house.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's fine. Don't do it in your car. Don't do it in a public place. Or whatever.
Right.
But now, like you said, moving to Colorado where it's recreational, that's just something as a not only as a person but as a law enforcement officer, you just have to accept it. That's the law that's signed into
Well, you were telling me that you had this thick book of the Colorado. No, it was like a book that you're having to read up on Colorado statutes.
So,
I
gotta go from a book that's about that thick to a book that's probably about that thick in Colorado law. So it's gonna be
the
a
abridged
different.
version. Yeah, I was telling you earlier this week, Colorado has some pretty loose gun laws.
Yes.
It's very gun friendly.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Colorado, for a while now is considered a blue state, but the majority of the state, square footage wise, is still red. In fact, the district I live in is a red district.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of what makes Colorado a blue state is the Denver. basically.
Yeah.
And, it's the most
Yeah.
populous city in Colorado, and so that's where all, most of the voters come from. But outside of Denver and Boulder, it's very much like these are my guns, don't touch them.
Oh, yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Netflix show The Ranch?
No, I have not.
It's got Ashton Kutcher. Actually funny enough. The premise is there's a ranch in Gunnison, Colorado, which is like a cattle ranch town in southern Colorado, and this Ashton Kutcher, the son of the rancher, moves home.
Yeah.
He's a washout FSU QB superstar.
Really?
No.
Yes. So in the show, he actually wears Seminole hats and stuff.
Oh my
in the
God.
Show. It's an okay show. It's a sitcom, so there's a laugh track and all that.
The Ranch?
It's called The Ranch.
Okay, yeah, I gotta check it out.
But it was like I watched it shortly after I moved here, and it showed me a different side of Colorado, because all I knew was like Denver and all that, which is like, metropolitan city and, younger crowd. But I got to witness, a different side of Colorado, which is like, and this is obviously Hollywood's take on it, but like, people don't understand Colorado's very rural, mostly rural cities or towns. You've got like all the way down to Pueblo, all the way up to like the border of Wyoming. Yeah. Everything basically out west.
Cowboy country.
It's cowboy country. That's cattle country. That's farms. That's this. That's that.
Yep.
So it varies. Is a very divided politically in that way. So it's interesting. I mean.
Well, not only that, I think even a lot of the blue voters still support having the looser gun laws.
Yeah, the freedoms and
because of the culture in the state.
Yeah, yeah.
Having one big city of Denver, where most of those voters are, but a lot of them living in other parts of Colorado too. You don't have as many people having that same feeling about the inner city, like gun violence, right?
Right. Well, that's the problem. When there is an actual, we have we have these active shooter scenarios or incidents that happen, that's when all the uproar comes up. But at the same time, though, everybody likes having those gun laws, So it's like, well, what do you do here?
Yeah.
And so
I've always been pretty pro gun. Was it the Second Amendment? Yeah, Second Amendment. Yeah. I'm very pro Second Amendment, but I can totally sympathize with people who, have those unfortunate incidents. School shoot. I mean, Colorado is no stranger to mass shootings.
Yeah.
I mean, we have we're like on
one every year, pretty much.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It happens.
I was in Boulder today, and they had a memorial for the officers killed last year, I think it was.
Yeah, King Supers.
Yeah. So you're right. Colorado. I drove by Columbine today, so it's like, it's unfortunate. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, I still go to the movie theater where the Dark
Aurora.
Knight shooting happened.
Yeah.
The unfortunate scenarios that unfolded there. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's like it's a part of like Colorado's history, and we like live it, and we Janie's had in her like Target past life had to deal with victims that worked for her Target from that
we
scenario.
talked about that today.
It's crazy. But that's unfortunate. I think it speaks more to the mental health crisis that we're having, and it all different types of crises in that realm. Which leads me to think about the fentanyl crisis.
Oh yeah.
Now, have you in Florida specifically seen that crisis kind of bleed into the community?
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah.
I just did CPR on a guy 2-3 weeks ago.
Really?
That unfortunately passed away because of a fentanyl overdose, and it's just you see it almost daily. Whether on a traffic stop and you search that vehicle, you find fentanyl.
Really?
Yeah, it's common these days.
Which is super dangerous for you guys too, right?
Well, it is. We've had numerous officers, not in our agency, but numerous officers around the country that have passed out by searching. I tell my guys when we do a searching, I want one of you standing by while the other one searches, and whoever's standing by has that Narcan ready to go.
Yeah.
You just God bless Narcan, because that's like a huge cure for immediate overdose, which will benefit us. It might not benefit the actual the drug abuser who's been taking heroin cut with fentanyl for a long time or whatever, but at least it might save a law enforcement officer who's trying to just do their job and get this drug off the street.
Yeah.
What's causing that to happen? Is it something breaks open and it gets in the air?
No, so it's like mostly what we're seeing, and it's actually starting to become more like in a powder form. In a pill form now, but mostly in a powder form, and it's being cut with like heroin, cocaine. It's even being sprinkled on marijuana. It's so deadly.
It's like I've seen comparisons of like it was like the amount of cocaine that will kill you, the amount of heroin that will kill you, and the amount of fentanyl will kill you. The amount of fentanyl compared to all those other drugs I stated was sprinkles.
Yeah.
Barely anything.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like the amount that will kill you. It's unfathomable.
So it makes it cheap, right? Because you don't need that much of it to get high from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Is
guess
that
you
why?
could say that.
Is that why people are using it?
Yeah. It's just so addictive. I don't know anybody who takes fentanyl straight up, but I mean, because it's used in the medical world as well.
Yeah.
But the majority of the times that I've seen it and dealt with it, it's mostly been cut with something else. It's used as a cutting agent with something else.
Punch up the
and give that extra.
And
boost.
those people who usually where you've got founded on them or whatever, they know that it's been cut with it.
I've actually been involved in some investigations where we've seen text messages saying, "Hey, be careful, it's cut with that."
No shit, and they still do it.
And it says, "Hey, be careful with that."
Be careful with that.
Yeah, I've actually seen text messages
that's
where
crazy.
Drug dealers have told their junkies, "Be careful with this." It's
because they need the business,
they
right?
don't care.
So they need them to come back.
And the junkies don't care because they want to get high.
Yeah.
They want to get high. I mean,
Yeah.
that state of mind is dangerous state of mind to be in. And to your point, thank God for Narcan. I mean, like that. Somebody was telling me the other day that how it works basically is it like you inject it and it will like block the effects of the specific drug for like 45 minutes, which gives you like enough time window to get to a
We have
treatment.
the nostril ones where you just squirt it into
Okay.
It's amazing how it works. You just squirt it into a nostril, and it's like a small little dosage, and it's enough just to possibly bring somebody back. And I've seen people come back, and they actually come back swinging. Some people come back groggy.
Yeah.
Some people, but the biggest thing is we just need them to come back.
Yeah, need them to come back.
Flatline,
Give enough time to get them to a hospital.
Get them in an ambulance and get them to the hospital. Yeah.
And if you do it, and if you inject it and you're not on anything, it doesn't nothing.
It doesn't. Yeah. It's almost harmless to you if you take it. Yeah, but but if you're overdosing on something, it should. From what I recall, it should be bringing you back without any issues.
Yeah.
So
what is fentanyl more like opioid or is it more like cocaine, meth kind of?
No, it's more like an opioid.
So
type,
if people are taking it and they're just kind of just like bummed out,
Yeah.
not really doing anything, acting weird.
No. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's out there, and it's just it's almost crack. Back in the 80s, cocaine, that was always big. Now it's fentanyl. Heroin was there for a while, to be honest with you. We were dealing with that quite a bit, but now it's just that fentanyl. And I'll be honest with you, it's scary. Yeah. It really is. You just don't know when it's going to hit you, or if you're searching a car, if you're searching a person, they might be immune to it almost, because they've been taking it for so long in small doses. But me, who's never taken it, one whiff or one, the wind blows the wrong direction, bam, it could knock you out.
I've seen videos of like officers like flatlining basically after like touching it.
Yeah,
it's incredibly potent. It's
and this
unreal.
stuff is made in a lab, right? It's not like someone's growing.
I believe it is.
And
I think you're correct
it.
on that. Yeah.
So it was developed for the pharmaceutical industry, right?
Yeah, that's why you see. I think it's like Johnson and Johnson is they just got levied an incredible amount of fines. I think they're just now handing down basic consequences for the fentanyl crisis. I think it's Johnson & Johnson's one of them that they've really hammered down on. But
Yeah, because it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from labs somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
Is it like there's these guys
It's not
cooking
like
it
a
in their
flour. It's not like in a plant.
right?
Yeah,
But I mean, are there like some guy has a lab in his house and he's making it, or is it not that kind of drug where you actually need a sophisticated?
No, I think you could probably make it.
Like a meth kind of thing.
Yeah. I think so.
So
Yeah.
is it probably more like that where a lot of that's coming from, or is it the corruption of these people working at these
I don't know. To be honest with you, I really don't know how it's actually made. You know, it's like it could be a product of meth. I don't know, or what, but I definitely know it's not like from a plant. It's not like I said, it's not a seed of something or anything like that. But it's definitely, it takes human interaction to make such a deadly thing, and unfortunately, some people take advantage of that and they get it out there and into the streets, and now we're dealing with the crisis. So
yeah, extremely addictive.
it is, yes. So deadly and addictive.
So do they use this stuff in hospitals and stuff?
So yeah, from my understanding, they use
Pain
it.
management.
Yeah, very small doses.
Because it's better than morphine.
Yeah, I think it's like
whatever they had?
same in the same family as morphine. Yeah, type of thing. I could be wrong. So
Because I'm just thinking, right, like before because fentanyl came about not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
And we had stuff to numb pain or
Right.
manage pain before that. It's like, couldn't we just say, okay, no more developing fentanyl? Right? It's that
yeah,
bad.
but then you got the underworld who they got to make their money
this
too.
still-
Whether it be the cartels or whoever,
I mean,
So someone's going to make it.
somebody's
now
gonna
that
make
it
money
exists.
off of it. Yeah,
the pharmaceutical industry has such a tight grip around policy and the FDA and all that. It's like it's hard to bring the hammer down on these guys.
yeah.
And finally it has. So I don't know. Hopefully in the next 5 years we see an improvement on that.
I hope so too. 'Cause like I said, with crack and cocaine, it's still out there, but it's kind of leveled off a little bit, plateaued, I guess you could say. Same with heroin. Again, I'm not saying that it's not a problem. All of them are problems, but hopefully something with the fentanyl crisis will plateau as well, and we can get some type of control over it.
If anybody uses those drugs, I'm not telling you not to use those drugs, but what I am saying is test the drugs. You can test those drugs now. They sell little kits on Amazon.
Yeah.
I heard it on a podcast.
Make sure stuff's not laced with.
with fentanyl.
I think actually, what is it? Washington or Oregon or somewhere up there is where you
them
can
out.
actually go and take the drug that you bought illegally, and there's medical staff nearby that will.
That's good.
I think that's in Oregon.
Yeah.
They have centers, right? You
Yeah.
can go and actually.
Yeah.
Because most drugs are legalized in Oregon anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just gotta be different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they have that. It's like, do you want to do your heroin? Come here and do it in a
You'll be safe. We'll revive you.
It's crazy.
Don't die.
Because it feels like you're enabling it, but it's like, what's the benefit, right?
Yeah.
Is it worse or is it better?
I know.
I guess we'll find out at some point.
No, I think that's why they did it, was because they have studies that show that if you do provide these safe avenues, users are going to use,
Right.
And so let's make sure that they are using, that they're using it responsibly and safely.
Take this scenario, like abandoned babies. They made these safe houses, like firehouses. Unfortunately, there's people out there who abandon a baby in a dumpster or whatever, and it's horrifying to hear that and say that. But at least if you give them a safe place to go to where they can leave a baby on a doorstep of a firehouse or whatnot.
Yeah,
it's the same type of concept if you think about it.
Yeah, it's like a mailbox drop.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
where they open up the door and they put them in and then
sets up an alarm and everything like that. So when it comes to narcotics, if you're gonna take illegal narcotics, then we don't want you to die, but at least you have a place to go where if you do, we might be able to revive you and bring you back, and whatnot. So I don't know. Like Miles was saying, it's a 50-50. Are you enabling people to do this or what? So it's hard. It's hard to
yeah, it's hard to say. I think I think it's probably net positive. I think that's what the studies say, but I think, and also where the study's being done, and it's like, every community is different, right?
Yep.
We're all different, so
Yeah.
it could be a generalized statement.
Yep.
For sure.
I agree.
What are you most excited about in terms of moving out to Colorado?
Yeah. What am I excited
Don't
about?
say hanging out with me, because I already know that's your top answer.
Come on, look at this place, man. Why would I not want to leave here? Come on. No, I'll be honest with you. Florida, we got beaches. We got Everglades, but we also got the heat, humidity, and the hurricanes, the 3 H's.
Heat, humidity, hurricanes. I love that.
So, coming here to Colorado, we were driving today and, just looking at the mountains. And it was like, this weekend I want to go up into that mountain, and it's like not deal with the heat, not deal with the humidity, not deal with the hurricane,
Yeah.
Go exploring. And it just gives us more avenue for adventure, to so many other states to go by, so close to, states that we might not have the opportunity to visit, such as, the West Coast, as opposed to Florida, and being on the East Coast. So it gives us a lot more opportunity. My wife and I, we just love traveling, and we know that you guys do too. So it's that I think this move opens up a lot more avenues for us to actually fulfill that goal and that want, and we look really forward. That's I was talking to my wife the other night, driving back, and she even said, "I just can't wait for us to take the step," and it's just going to open us up for a lot more adventures. So that's what we're looking forward to. The biggest move here. So
there's so much around here.
Yeah.
I always thought of. Florida has great things on its own. It's a cool state to live in, and especially if you like the beach, if you like fishing, if you like boating, snorkeling,
absolutely,
whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to do anything outside of Florida, to go to North Carolina into the mountains, it's a long drive.
Yeah,
it's a long
6
way.
hours. Well, last I did it.
Yeah, just to get out of Florida into Georgia, right?
Yeah,
and then
just
it's
to get to Georgia.
There's not much in South Georgia.
No, and you want to keep going.
Yeah, so you got to go a long way.
No offense to Georgia people out there.
Right? Yeah, Georgia's got its own things. North Georgia, beautiful.
Yeah.
But here, you have the state itself where you can drive to every corner within 5 hours.
I love it. Yeah.
Then you have Utah, which is one of the most amazing states in the entire U.S.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
Arizona, New Mexico.
Yep.
Not a lot of people think about New Mexico or Arizona, aside from the Grand Canyon being around there. But those states have some pretty awesome things
Absolutely
too.
Do.
So
there's so much history with those states as well,
For sure, yeah.
With New Mexico and Nevada, with the atomic bomb, in New Mexico, and the alien invasion or whatever happened back in the 40s, or Roswell or whatever. Just the small things that people forget about. It's just be intriguing to go and actually just, hey, let's go do that for one day.
Totally.
That'd be cool to do. So
I
agree
like
with
Moab is like 6 hour drive, 6.5 hour drive, and out there that's in Utah. It is another planet.
I heard it's absolutely beautiful out there.
Oh, yeah.
It is insane.
You can go. We did. Sarah and I did a road trip last year where we spent, I think it was a week or a week and a half. We drove, because basically from here you can take I-70 all the way to Grand Junction, which is pretty much the last city that you'll find in Colorado before you get to the Utah border. Once you cross the Utah border, the first city that's there is going to be Moab, which is what we're talking about.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I was bougie and I did not drive that. I took a 45-minute
fly
plane
there.
ride and flew into the world's smallest airport.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
They had like one TSA agent there. It was insane.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. But you can go there. It's got world class off roading. Arches National Park is right there. It's one of the best national parks in the U.S.
We rented a Jeep Wrangler.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my god, I was terrified. We were
It's
driving on
insane.
cliff, like basically like right there was
Oh my
like
God.
150 feet drop
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
amazing river that bends around this somewhat canyon area, which is the name of the state park, right? Or the national park. Canyonlands, right?
Canyonlands National Park.
Canyonlands.
That's the other. There's
Okay.
2 national parks right there. Yeah.
I think that one's the better one of the two, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
everybody loves the arches because of the big,
course.
the
Yeah.
monuments.
It's
and
on
stuff.
their license plate. It's,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember back watching the old Wild West movies or the TV shows, and I remember in England we only had 4 channels, and that was one of the benefits of coming to the United States. As a kid, I was, you had so many channels of TV over here, but in England we had 4 channels. I remember the old '60s shows like the High Chaparral or Bonanza or whatever, and the old West shows that were on, and you would see, the cliffs or the
Yeah,
like Moab,
'cause a lot
or
of them were filmed in
Utah.
Utah.
Exactly. So
Totally.
it's like, oh my God, that is
Wow.
so amazing. And
Yeah.
now knowing that we're so close to doing that and going to visit, I can't wait.
Yeah, you can see the last time we went over to Zion, which is a little bit more west of that area. So it's basically southwest. Zion and Bryce. We were over there and getting a little more into Nevada. There's a state park called Valley of Fire State Park.
Okay.
And in there, there's actual, and I'm sure other places in Utah, Nevada, and whatnot, but there's actual remnants, like parts of buildings and stuff from some of the sets
that is so
from
cool.
those shows or
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, wow.
That you can see. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we visited a ghost town. We did the drive from Las Vegas to California or Los Angeles one year when we were out here visiting, and we stopped at one of those old ghost towns. I didn't want to leave. I love the
They're
old
cool.
Wild West history, and it was like you actually took a step back in time.
Yeah.
Isn't Joshua Tree? Can't you get the Joshua Tree from that drive from LA to Vegas? Or is that a little bit more south?
It may be a little more. I mean, you might be able to.
Yeah.
It's probably almost equal distance between the two of them. I can't remember, but yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That's a really cool park as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Colorado, there's tons of ghost towns because they had a lot of mining
so
towns.
many, so
Yeah.
many,
And so it's
Yeah.
cool to go, especially if you kind of go southwest of here towards like
Okay.
Telluride,
Yeah.
which like most people know.
Yeah.
There's tons of little tiny towns up in there that like Silverton is one of those towns where it's an actual town. There's people still living there, but it's really small. It's really cool. But around there, you'll find ghost towns.
Really?
Yeah, they'll just be built like you'll see random
Every
wooden
weekend trip.
buildings.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just like those towns during the gold boom rush.
Yeah.
There was just tons of like different settlements and towns set up with just like the speculation and prospect of striking gold and for like 99% of those towns, like nothing
Yep.
ever came up with
Yeah.
it. In the last podcast we talked about there's a town in Colorado which is notoriously named like one of the most remote towns in Colorado. It's called Lake City,
Okay.
and it was a booming gold rush town during that era. And of course, nobody found gold. Nobody
Yeah.
got rich.
Yeah.
So the town basically like went down to like 400 people living there.
Yeah.
And I think today there's still maybe only 400 people living there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like what
So
are
they
you
had
guys
fake
still
news
doing
back
there?
then too. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly. A lot of grifters.
Yeah.
A lot of grifters. Instead of tweeting and podcasting, they were on stagecoaches and
Yep. Yeah.
like, hey, if you come this way,
Yeah.
you pay me a little bit of coin,
Yeah,
I
that's
will
it.
point you
Yep.
in the right direction of some great gold.
Yeah. You're like, hold on, let me Google this real quick.
It's just like the first, like if you were smart enough, you'd be like, well, if you're telling me that, what are you doing here telling me that?
Yeah,
Working
right?
for five cents.
Why are you not up there?
yeah,
mining
why
your
are-
gold? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They should have known. They should have known.
It's like the ads on YouTube of the finance guys. Like I forget what's his name with real estate. It's like let
Yeah.
me teach you how to make money. And it's like why
5
aren't you
steps
making
of
money?
being a self-made millionaire by 25.
Yep.
Okay.
Make videos like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what Amazon fulfillment is? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, no, Colorado for outdoor adventure.
Yeah.
There's no better. There's a great couple places out here, but Denver's such a great place. It doesn't hurt that we have such a big hub for an airport.
Right.
So
Yep.
you just hop
That's
over to
the
the
one thing
airport.
we
You
always
basically
say.
go
Yeah.
anywhere in
Yeah,
the United
exactly.
States.
It's an
nonstop.
international- yeah, an international
We have like
airport.
more nonstop destinations than I think 95% of them. I think we were at one point, we might still be the
Yeah.
third busiest airport in the world.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
So if that doesn't tell you anything, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, to be honest, there's other amazing places in the U.S. too, but a lot of those, or probably most of those places, aren't that close to a big airport like
Right.
that.
That's the
and it's, I mean, yeah, you could say, oh, well, I'll just stay home all the time and not travel. For me personally, I travel a lot,
Yeah.
so it's not ideal to live somewhere that has a small regional airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this is
No, I
it's
agree.
a huge draw
nobody
to
likes
living
a layover.
No.
Yeah.
Just be
Oh,
honest.
yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I got one tomorrow. Trust me. Already
Oh,
planned.
boy.
What am I going to do? You know? Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
can't-
Exactly.
We
Yep.
can't all have our own private jets.
Yeah.
So, for all the youngsters out there who are looking into getting into law enforcement,
Yeah.
what is some advice that you can give them?
All right. So if they're on the fence about doing it, there is no greater feeling in the world than saving a life. So if that's what you want to do, this is definitely a field or a field for you to actually to get into, because you will save lives no matter what. You might be the most laziest cop out there, but at some point in your career, you're going to save somebody's life, and there is no better feeling than that. So, but if you just want to do it just to be, hey, I'm a cop, type thing, don't. Let the next guy who wants to do something and benefit it. There's plenty of other jobs out there, but this is a job that you actually will be giving back to your community in some way, shape, or form. You're going to be serving your community. It doesn't matter if you're going to be out there directing traffic one afternoon. You're serving your community. You're helping people get home, or you're helping people in that crash that you might be directing traffic for. This is a job and a career that you are definitely going to help people, and that's pretty much one of the biggest aspects of why I like doing it so much. You're helping people. You could also be helping people in your own line of work, whether you're training new officers who are coming in. You're helping them and guiding them and molding them into people who will help that community. So I love it. I've done this job for 30 years. I'm going to continue doing this job. I can tell you for years to come. So it's just one of those things that you just, once you take that step forward into doing it, you're gonna love it, and I highly recommend it, and I hope that there's a lot more people that jump into this field, because it's almost self-rewarding that knowing you're driving home one night and you know that that guy might be in the hospital, but he's alive tonight because of something you might have done. So it's no better feeling than doing that. So highly recommend it. So for sure.
Highly recommend it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You heard it there, folks.
So then so let's say that that's what I'm looking for.
Right?
Maybe I'm in high school right now.
Yeah.
What should be my next step?
So get to know I'm gonna be honest. If you're in high school, I'm gonna tell you right now, go to college. We said this earlier. Get that out of the way first, because you will benefit more from that down the road than you might think of. If you hate schooling, I'm telling you right now, bite your tongue and get that schooling done, because it will benefit you big time when you do decide to make that jump. And I would recommend that. I'm into local government law enforcement. I'm in a community and I give back to my community. But if you really I'm not knocking law enforcement in any way, shape, or form, but federal law enforcement is a lot different than local government law enforcement. So you get that degree, you can either stay in your community, go to another community, which is what I'm looking at doing, and assist in that way, shape, or form. Or if you want to go to the federal government level, which is I'll be straight up honest, is a goal of many law enforcement officers to get to the federal level. You'll have that degree behind you that will get you there and propel you there. So that's so important. And that's actually restricted me by not having a degree to go into the federal level, which is what I would love to have done.
So they're usually more strict about requiring that degree.
Without a doubt, they are more restrictive, and they also have a certain age requirement as well for federal law enforcement. So if you're interested, again, get that degree, and then you can, whether you might enjoy it being a law enforcement officer in your community. You know, I've enjoyed it 30 something years, and it's going to continue. But if you want to take it to the next level, you go to the federal level, you have that degree that will propel you to that level, and then take you in many other adventures and paths from that aspect. So that would be my recommendation. So if you're in high school, get that degree. Please go get it out of the way. You will love me for saying it now, and if it's just one of those things. If I got asked the other day, is there anything that you ever regretted in your life? Yeah, going to college after high school. That's one of my biggest regrets in life. So I highly recommend it.
So to imagine going to school for something like criminology would be great, but does it actually really matter what degree you're getting?
No, I know a lot of law enforcement members, some who are supervisors and in certain chain of commands, who go into get degrees in business, who public safety, not necessarily criminal justice, because what, at some point you just say, you know what, like we talked about earlier, I'm done with this. You want to go into another field or another career, you have that degree behind you that's in something else, so be open-minded when you do go in and want to get a degree. Go get something in business related or health related or community computer graphic designing and something.
Great advice.
Something that's just that allow you have possibly a second career choice down the road. So
now, what about if for those who want to join the military for 4 years, get out and then join law enforcement?
Yeah, no.
Would you encourage them to also get a college degree after that as well before they join? Or
yeah, I would recommend that anybody. I'm going to use my agency. For instance, it doesn't matter whether you have military background, 30 years of law enforcement experience. If you don't have that degree, you're not going to promote within further. From a certain point. So yes, my answer to that question would be yes. Even though military, get that degree. From my understanding, I was never in the military, but from my understanding, if you're in the military, you get the GI Bill, and you can go to college and everything like that. You can still go and work for that whatever department you want to work for, but you can also go to college at the same time. So get that degree for sure.
Does being in the military give you any advantage when you join law
I think
enforcement?
it gives you a better understanding of it, as especially you still have to go to an academy no matter what, but you already have that discipline. You already have that regimented mindset. Yes, military, and I've seen it from a trainer standpoint. It's much easier to train somebody who's been disciplined and been regimented than it is somebody who's come in. Again, not knocking somebody who's just done straight education and then come into law enforcement, but it's so much easier with a military background than
they understand like things like chain of command and things like that. I'm sure it would be somewhat familiar to them. Right.
And it's more understandable. So
interesting.
Good advice. I think that it may seem obvious to maybe to you because you're in the field, but definitely I think that's really helpful for a lot of people because I know when I was in high school I didn't really know like what I should do for.
I remember when I was in high school, I just wanted to be done with it. It was like, all right, now I'm ready to go out into the world. But it's like, well, wait a minute. There's 4 years of school and additional school that I probably should have got to help me go out into the world. So, it's, we live and learn, I guess, So,
totally.
Yeah.
Things change over time too.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe you didn't need a degree 20 years ago. Maybe you need one now.
You're right.
Yeah. It's but it's I think looking towards the future and taking the advice of the people who are in the field now. I think is what the best you can do.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, that wasn't a requirement when you first joined, right?
No, not the no.
To like move up and all that.
the-
Like,
the
I'm sure you
college-
have superior officers or commanding officers that don't have degrees.
They do now.
They do now.
Yes.
but you
There
did
was some point.
previously.
There was some point. I recall that there was some point where the supervisor level did not need a college degree. Now it needs a college degree.
Yeah.
So it's back. Oh, that was a while ago. But some of the supervisors who have been promoted who were not to take advantage of the situation at the time, but they just were promoted without a degree at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually been required to go and get their degree now to maintain their position or move further from that position.
Wow.
If that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
that's how it's
It's like an
changeable.
ultimatum. So,
Yeah, I guess you could say it that.
Yeah, huh.
Yeah.
They're like,
hey, you're
hey,
already in this
listen.
position, but
Yeah.
we need you to go get that 4-year degree.
But they probably pay for it, right?
Oh yeah,
So-
I know our agency contributes, somewhat to
Okay.
it and helps out. But yeah, you can. But the contribution that our agency gives, you can definitely get your degree without any problem at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Is
a lot of
there
places like that.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Where they
noticed.
just kind of give you a stipend.
Yeah,
For
they give you like a
semester.
certain, like $5,000, for a semester, or $5,000 a year, or whatever it might
Yeah.
be. Because some of us can't do 3 classes a semester. A lot
Right.
of us can only do 1 or 2 at a time, and whatever. So
And it's in their best interest, I'm assuming, to educate and
Yeah.
rise up the existing workforce that they have,
Yep.
and really kind of maintain that higher standard within the department.
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that want to move to where you're at and have the degree or whatever, but I think there's something to having someone who's already in your community and promoting them up, right? Versus just always importing people outside of the
Yeah.
community who have those skills
it can be
or whatever.
disheartening
Right?
as a if I'm a member of an agency who's struggling or working to get to a certain point, and you see members from the members of the public who are hired on and go directly to that position. Yeah, it can be a gut punch.
Yeah.
But because I don't, or I don't have, or that person might not have that degree, but that person who comes in from the outside that has that degree. What can you do?
Yeah.
That's just the way things are these days, and you have to adjust to it and adapt to it. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, so there you have it. I think I hear a lot of mostly entrepreneurial people who have started their own businesses or whatever say that, oh, college is a scam. You don't need a degree to make money, this and that. And it's true. You don't. You're obviously well off. There's a lot of other people who are well off, who are super rich without having degrees. But I think in general, unless you already have a business plan of what you want to do, it's if you have the opportunity to go and get a degree, it makes sense. And it's also for a lot of people can be one of the best times in their lives too.
absolutely, you can. Yeah.
And I think it's important to note too, like not only should you just go get a degree, but go get a degree that you think will, assist in what you're looking to do. You said business. I think that would be a great, law enforcement is not necessarily a revenue generating business, but I think that the discipline, the knowledge that you learn from things like a business degree will help you. Cops do paperwork.
Absolutely.
There's internal systems and processes and hierarchy within the department that is not much different than a corporation.
Right.
There's through lines there, and I think there's a lot to learn. I think a lot of the criticism comes from some of the lacklustered degrees that you could get nowadays at some of the colleges, but.
Yeah.
Especially if you're paying tons of money for it.
Right.
It
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah,
make
exactly.
sense to take out $200,000 in loans
Yeah.
to start out in a career that isn't going to pay that
Right.
off maybe ever.
Yeah. Do your research for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without
Know
a
what you're
doubt.
getting into.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best classes I took actually was it was for again, I don't have a degree, but I took some college classes, and one of them actually made me. It was for business. Maybe do a business plan.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was actually. Here I am, a cop, seasoned cop, 20-something years going on, and, I don't know about arrest people and laws and stuff like that. And here I am asking me to put a business plan together. I actually enjoyed it. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. Yeah. And I created an Asian cuisine company and a restaurant, and what was the menu and everything. It was just It was really cool to actually do something completely different than what my passion was, and it just took you out of that element for just a little bit and whatever. So I enjoyed that. It was a good class.
Yeah, it's less about the content and it's more about the critical thinking skills that you learn, and doing those somewhat medial tasks. That business plan thing sounds pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
I'd be into that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Miles. What kind of business would you create?
Would I create? Yeah. I created a business.
I know you did, but that doesn't count. You have to pick something else.
Oh, pick something new?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. I became a software developer, and I like doing it, but I hate doing it too much. Right? So I don't know if I would do something specifically with like software development or developing some app or something like that. Whatever. But I probably wouldn't go into like restaurants or anything like that because, especially you've said that's usually not a moneymaker.
Pretty risky.
Really risky. I probably wouldn't come out with any kind of product that competes in a market that's monopolized by companies like food. A lot of food products.
I want to start my own foot cream company, but foot cream. I think that's already well established.
Yeah, no makeup brands. I don't know. That's the thing. That's why I never started a business before. Was I never had an idea where I was like, I will work on this 80 hours a week, and I'll do that for 5 years.
Yeah.
So NFTs. You're gonna start your own NFT company selling foot cream images, mostly just the before pictures.
Yeah.
He's just NFTing those.
Yeah, I think a marketing company probably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money in that.
Yeah. Well, Tolo, thank you. Thanks for being on. Thanks for joining us and answering those questions. I think it's a long time coming.
Yep.
And I see we all enjoyed our drinks, so that's good. I'm glad it was a success.
We didn't need our limes.
We're going to get another round after
Yeah,
this?
exactly. Yeah.
Please.
Bartenders on service.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, you can catch us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all those good stuff.
OnlyFans.
Check us out. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like us. Catch the audio drama original series called Original Kin on Spotify. And also, if you want to catch up with Miles and Sarah, what they're up to, traveling, Adventuring Eyes on Instagram, adventuringeyes.com. And until next time, you'll find us here enjoying lovely cocktails at the Lucky Duck. Good night, everybody.